Okay, so I'm 71 years old. I live alone in a beautiful 3-bedroom house that I've owned for 40 years. I'm healthy, I'm active, I volunteer at the library twice a week, I take spin classes at the gym, and last month I went ziplining with my book club because Karen said I wouldn't, and I showed her I'm not frail, I'm not declining, I'm not dying. But according to my daughter Amanda, I'm one bad step away from breaking a hip and lying on the floor for 3 days waiting for someone to find me. Except that's not what this is really about. This was never about my safety. This was about my house, my beautiful, fully paid off house in a neighbourhood that's gotten very expensive over the years. The house I bought for $85,000 in 1983, that's now worth $1.2 million. Yeah, you heard that right, $1.2 million. And Amanda's been eyeing it like a vulture, circling roadkill for the past 2 years. It started innocently enough. She'd visit more often, which was nice at first. We'd have coffee, chat, catch up on life. But then the questions started. Mum, are you sure you can handle the stairs? I have 4 stairs. Total. Mum, this yard is so big, aren't you tired of maintaining it? I have a gardener. I've had the same gardener for 15 years. His name is Miguel, and he does a fantastic job. Mum, this house is so empty now. Don't you feel lonely rattling around in all this space? Lonely? I have friends, I have hobbies, I have a life. But she kept pushing, kept planting seeds, and then one day she showed up with brochures, glossy, expensive-looking brochures for senior living communities, not nursing homes. Oh no, she was too smart to call them that. Active adult communities, independent living facilities, luxury retirement resorts, like she was offering me a vacation, not trying to warehouse me. Mum, look at this one. They have a pool and organised activities. Bingo on Thursdays. I'm 71, not 91, and I don't play bingo. I read literary fiction and argue about it with strangers on the internet. That's my hobby. And look, they handle all the maintenance. No more worrying about the house. I'm not worrying about the house. The house is fine. Plus, you'd have people around, built-in friends. Red flag number 1. But I stayed calm. I looked through the brochures, smiled politely, and said, "That's sweet of you to think of me, honey, but I'm very happy here." Her face tightened, just for a second, but I saw it, that flash of frustration. "Mum, I really think you should consider it. For your safety." There it was, the magic word, safety, the word adult children use when they want to control their parents, but sound noble doing it. "I'm perfectly safe here," I said firmly. "I appreciate your concern, but I'm not going anywhere." She left shortly after, but I could tell she wasn't done, and I was right. 2 weeks later, she showed up again. This time with her husband, Greg. Greg is a real estate agent. Convenient, right? They sat me down in my living room in my house, and Greg started talking about market values, about property taxes, about the burden of home ownership at your age, the burden of living in a fully paid off house that I own. You know, Dorothy, if you were interested in selling, I could get you top dollar for this place. The market's hot right now. You could walk away with over $1 million easy. Use that money to pay for a really nice facility, the best care available. Walk away from my home, the home I raised my kids in, the home where my husband died, the home where I've lived for 40 years. So Greg can collect his commission and Amanda can what? Get the leftover money? Get named in my will as the sole beneficiary of my estate? "I'm not selling," I said, ice cold. Greg and Amanda exchanged a look. The look. the one that says, "This is going to be harder than we thought." Red flag number 2. But they didn't stop. Over the next month, the pressure increased. Phone calls. Just checking on you, Mum. Unexpected visits. We were in the neighbourhood. Each time they'd find something to criticise. "Mum, your gutters need cleaning. What if you fall off a ladder trying to do it yourself?" "I've never cleaned my own gutters. That's what professionals are for." "Mum, I noticed your steps are a little uneven. That's a tripping hazard." They're not uneven. They've been the same steps for 40 years and nobody's ever tripped. But Amanda started building a narrative, started collecting evidence, taking photos of my house, of the stairs, of the yard, of anything that could be twisted into proof that I was living in an unsafe environment. And then came the ambush. The family meeting I didn't know was a family meeting. Amanda called and said she was bringing my grandkids over for Sunday dinner. Great. I love my grandkids. I made a roast, set the table, got excited, and then the doorbell rang. Amanda walked in, but not with the kids, with Greg, her brother Michael, my son, Michael's wife, and some woman I'd never seen before in a pantsuit carrying a briefcase. "Mom, we need to talk," Amanda said, her voice dripping with fake concern. "Everyone's here because we're worried about you." I looked around the room at my own children, at this stranger, and I knew this wasn't a family dinner. This was an intervention. "Who's this?" I asked, pointing at Pantsuit Lady. "This is Gloria. She's a geriatric care specialist. We asked her to come talk to you about your options." Options? My options. Like I was incompetent. Like I needed help making decisions about my own life. Like I was a child. Gloria smiled, professional, practiced. "Mrs. Dorothy, your family is concerned about you living alone. They've shared some incidents that suggest you might benefit from a more supportive environment." Incidents? What incidents? I looked at Amanda. She pulled out her phone, started scrolling. "Last week you forgot we had lunch plans." "No, I didn't." "We didn't have lunch plans." 2 weeks ago you left your stove on." I made tea. The kettle whistled. I turned it off. "Last month you got lost driving home from the grocery store." I took a different route because there was construction. I wasn't lost, but she was making it sound like I was wandering around in a dementia fog, and everyone was listening, believing her. Michael spoke up. "Mum, we're not trying to upset you. We just want what's best. And maybe it's time to think about a place where you'd have support, where you'd be safe." Safe. That word again. I looked at Gloria. "Let me guess. You work for one of these senior living communities. You get referral fees for every person you convince to sign up." Her smile froze. "I'm simply here to provide information. You're here because my daughter called you, because she wants me out of my house. How much is a referral fee, Gloria? $5,000? $10,000? Nobody answered, because I was right. "And you," I turned to Greg, "you're already planning how to list this house, aren't you? Already calculating your commission." "Dorothy, that's not fair, isn't it? You're a realtor. Amanda wants me in a home. You want to sell my house. Everybody wins except me." The room went silent. Amanda tried a different approach, softer, manipulative. "Mom, I know you're upset, but this isn't about the house. This is about you, your health, your safety. We can't keep worrying about you like this." "Then stop worrying," I said. "I'm fine." "But what if you're not fine and you just don't realise it?" Amanda's voice broke. Actual tears. Academy Award-worthy performance. What if something happens and we're not there? What if you fall? What if you have a stroke? What if you stop trying to control my life? I stood up. I appreciate your concern, all of you, but I'm 71, not 91. I'm healthy, I'm competent, and I'm staying in my house. Mom, please. This conversation is over. All of you can leave now. Gloria packed up her briefcase quickly. Clearly used to these situations not going well, Michael looked uncomfortable. Greg looked annoyed. And Amanda? Amanda looked furious, not sad, not worried, angry, because her plan wasn't working, because I wasn't cooperating, because she'd brought in reinforcements, and I still said no. They left. But as Amanda walked out, she said very quietly, "We're not done talking about this." That was a threat, not a promise, a threat. And I knew this was going to escalate. So I did what any reasonable person would do. I called my lawyer, Martin. I'd known him for 30 years. He'd handled my will, my husband's estate, everything. "Martin, I need to see you immediately." I went to his office the next day, told him everything, the brochures, the pressure, the intervention, the incidents Amanda was making up. He listened, took notes, and when I finished, he looked at me very seriously. "Dorothy, what they're doing is building a case. They're going to try to get guardianship over you or conservatorship. They'll claim you're not capable of making your own decisions. And if they succeed, they'll have legal control over your finances, your property, everything, including the authority to sell your house and place you in a facility against your will." My blood ran cold. They can do that. If they can convince a judge you're incompetent, yes, absolutely. But I'm not incompetent. I know, but they're creating a narrative. The forgotten lunch, the stove, getting lost. They're documenting everything to make you look declining. And if they bring enough evidence to a court, a judge might side with them, especially if you don't have your own evidence to the contrary. Evidence. I needed evidence, proof that I was fine, proof that they were the problem, not me. Martin leaned back in his chair. "Here's what we're going to do. First, you're going to get a full medical evaluation. Cognitive tests, physical exam, everything. We need documentation from actual doctors that you're in perfect health. Second, I'm going to draft a letter to your daughter, informing her that you have legal representation and that any further attempts to coerce you into leaving your home or signing over power of attorney will be met with legal action. Third, we're going to update your will. Make it very clear what happens to your estate and who gets what. Or in this case, who gets nothing if they keep pulling this garbage." I went to my doctor. Dr. Patel told her everything. She was horrified. "Dorothy, you're one of my healthiest patients. Your mind is sharp. Your body's in great shape. You're doing better than people 20 years younger." She ran every test. Cognitive function, memory, balance, reflexes, everything. And I passed with flying colours. She wrote a detailed letter for Martin. "Patient shows no signs of cognitive decline, fully capable of independent living and decision-making. No medical reason for assisted living or guardianship." Armed with that letter, Martin sent his message to Amanda. Certified mail. Legal letterhead. Very official. Very serious. "On behalf of my client, Dorothy Henderson, I am writing to inform you that any further attempts to coerce, manipulate or pressure Mrs. Henderson regarding her living situation will be considered elder abuse and will be reported to the appropriate authorities. Mrs. Henderson is of sound mind and body as confirmed by her physician and has the legal right to make her own decisions regarding her residence and care. Any attempts to pursue guardianship or conservatorship will be vigorously contested. Amanda called me screaming, actually screaming. "You got a lawyer? Are you kidding me right now? You brought a stranger into my house to tell me I can't live alone. What did you expect? I was trying to help you." "Oh, no, you were trying to control me and take my house. Don't think I don't know what this is about, Amanda." Silence then, quieter, dangerous. "You're going to regret this, Mom." "Is that a threat?" "It's a fact. We're going to court. We're going to prove you can't take care of yourself. And when we win, you're going to end up in a facility whether you like it or not." She hung up, and I sat there shaking, not with fear, with rage. My own daughter, threatening to take me to court, to have me declared incompetent, to steal my home and my freedom, all because she wanted money, all because she was greedy, all because she saw me as an obstacle instead of a person. Martin wasn't surprised when I told him. They'll file a petition for guardianship. But here's the thing, Dorothy, they have to prove you're incompetent, and they can't, because you're not. 2 months later, we were in court. Amanda had hired a lawyer. They presented their evidence. The photos of my house, testimonies from Amanda and Greg about my forgetfulness. A statement from Gloria, the geriatric care specialist, saying I would benefit from supervised care. It was all hearsay, all opinions, all garbage. Then Martin stood up, and he destroyed them. He presented Dr. Patel's letter, medical records showing I was in excellent health, my gym membership showing I attended classes 3 times a week, photos of me zip-lining with my book club. He called character witnesses, my friends, my neighbours, Miguel, my gardener, who testified that I was sharp as a tack and managed my property perfectly. The librarian where I volunteer, who said I organised their entire digital filing system because I was bored. Even my spin instructor testified, saying I could outpace people half my age. The judge listened to everything, looked at Amanda, looked at me and said, "Mrs. Henderson, do you wish to live independently?" "Yes, Your Honour." "And you feel capable of managing your own affairs?" "Absolutely, Your Honour." "Then this petition is denied. Mrs. Henderson is clearly competent, and frankly, I'm disturbed by the attempts to paint her otherwise." He turned to Amanda. "Ma'am, your mother has the right to live where she chooses, and based on the evidence, she's more than capable of doing so. This case is dismissed." Amanda's face went white, then red. She stormed out of the courtroom without looking at me. Greg followed, looking defeated. Michael stayed behind, approached me carefully. "Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't know I thought she was genuinely worried." "She wasn't worried, Michael. She was greedy." He nodded slowly. "I see that now. Good, because if you ever try something like this again, you'll be out of my will faster than you can blink." His eyes went wide. "Mom, I would never. I know, but Amanda would, and she just did. So here's what's going to happen." I pulled out the updated will Martin had prepared. "I'm leaving the house to charity, the entire property. The Historical Society is going to turn it into a community centre. Amanda gets nothing, and if she contests the will, the entire estate goes to charity too. Everything. She won't see a dime." Michael stared at the document. You're serious?" "Completely. She tried to steal my life. She doesn't get to profit from my death." I looked him in the eye. You, on the other hand, are still in the will, as long as you never pull something like this again. I won't, I swear. And I believed him, because Michael isn't greedy, he's just weak. He got dragged into his sister's scheme and didn't have the spine to say no, but he learned his lesson. Amanda didn't speak to me for a year. Then she sent a letter apologising, saying she acted out of fear and made mistakes and hoped we could rebuild our relationship. I wrote back one sentence. When I die, you'll find out what your greed cost you. I never heard from her again. And you know what? I'm fine with that, because I'm 71 years old. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I live in my house. I see my friends. I do what I want. When I die, whenever that is, my house will become something beautiful, something that helps the community, something Amanda can drive by and remember. Remember what she tried to do. Remember what she lost. Remember that you can't steal from someone who's smarter than you. So if this story made you want to check your will or made you grateful your kids aren't monsters, hit like and subscribe, because I've got more stories. Stories about greedy children who underestimated their parents. Stories about lawyers who earn their fees. Stories about old ladies who fight back and win. Spoiler alert, we're tougher than we look. We've survived decades of life's garbage. We've buried spouses, raised kids, built careers, and paid off mortgages. You think we're going to roll over because our kids want our house? Think again. We didn't get this far by being soft. We got here by being smart, by being strategic, by knowing when to fight and how to win. So go ahead, try to put me in a nursing home, try to take my house, try to declare me incompetent. I dare you, because I've got a lawyer. I've got medical records, I've got proof, and most importantly, I've got time, all the time in the world to watch you fail, to watch you lose, to watch you realise that the woman you underestimated, she was 10 steps ahead of you the entire time, and by the time you figure it out, it's too late. The will is signed, the house is gone, and you're left with nothing but the knowledge that you destroyed your relationship with your mother over money, over greed, over a house you'll never live in and money you'll never spend. Was it worth it, Amanda? Was it worth it? I hope you think about that every single day, because I certainly do. And I smile